Hey, friends, welcome to the Empowered Homes podcast. The purpose of this podcast is to grow strong families by connecting church and home. Today's episode is brought to you by Dad Tired. Dad Tired is a community of dads who are trying to live their best lives as disciples, fathers, and husbands. And today's episode is sponsored by the Dad Tired Retreat. And our special guest that we have actually met last year at the Dad Tired Retreat. They are also a co-sponsor of that retreat. Scott Morris is with us today. Scott is the director of the Father-Son Camp and director. I got this off of your bio. So if this isn't part of your bio, Director of Safety and Security at Kanakuk Kamps. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, I got a few hats. So Director of Safety Security and started a little Father-Son Camp a couple years ago.
Yeah, awesome. So I met you last year at the Dad Tired Retreat and just immediately was like, man, I need to get you in front of our audience to talk about this amazing opportunity. But before we jump into that, Scott, I know you are a West Point grad, served in the Army on active duty for almost 23 years. Tell us a little bit about your story, how you came to know the Lord, and just kind of your heart and passion.
Yeah, I mean, how I came to know the Lord. Well, there was a lady down the street when I was about, 11 years old, 12 years old, and she had after school Bible study. My friend and I wandered down there, and I'd been to church before, but our family didn't go regularly. But went down there, and she gave us some snacks, and she gave us some treats, and had us memorize Bible verses, and kind of gave us more treats if we memorized them. And then one day, told me, if you pray this prayer, I would go to heaven. And I was like, okay, so I get treats here, but if I pray this prayer, then I get to go to heaven with Jesus. That's a pretty good deal. I'm in, right? And so that kind of started it off, I think, or my earliest recollections, and just throughout my life, just have been pulled closer and closer to the Lord through my time in the Army, and now, of course, here at Kanakuk as trying to do some safety and security, and then find myself as a new leader of a Christian ministry. So it's been a long road where God's just kind of, knocked and kept knocking at the door, like the Bible says. And yeah, so through the many trials you go through in life, I found definitely a Romans 5:3 thing, that we glory in our sufferings, but that produces endurance, character, and hope. It certainly has been throughout life. So yeah, that's the quick and dirty of my personal faith anyway.
So my civilian ignorance, can I ask kind of what'd you do in the Army? What was your kind of specialty?
Yeah, I went off to West Point, graduated from the academy in 96, and was commissioned as an artilleryman in the Army. So cannons, did mostly cannons my career, as well as leadership development. Went back to West Point, on staff there, running the cadet company for a few years, and then ended my career here in Missouri. It's how I got to Missouri. I was sent here to command the ROTC detachment at Missouri State University. So did a lot of leadership development as well, and really always enjoyed that. Cannons are a lot of fun, but leadership development's pretty rewarding to work with the youngsters and train them into Army lieutenants. So did quite a bit of that. And then, as life goes along and you're married and you have kids and boys start growing up. And, when I wasn't away training with the Army or deployed, I wanted to be involved with them. So I started coaching youth sports, coached Little League, coached flag football, and then into tackle football. We homeschool our kids. So I got to coach, their homeschool team for years. And been coaching in one regard or another for the last 10 years. Did Boy Scouts with them, all those things, just to be as intentional and act them as I could, and really just because I had fun with it too. So that's big bonus as a dad, and I know you know that.
Yeah. So tell me about your kids, man. How many kids do you have?
Yeah, two boys, Brian and Gabriel. Brian is 20. He's a freshman at Pittsburgh State University studying engineering out there, and Gabriel is in the gap year program here at Kanakuk. We have a 1 year gap year program for Christian worldview. And Gabe graduated a little bit early, so he went on to that, and he's going to join his brother next year at Pittsburgh State, and looking forward to that as well.
Okay, so any Army in their future?
Nope, not yet. They've not had that desire.
Yeah.
And you serve so that others don't have to. So I've kind of tried not to be the old colonel, tried not to be the heavy-handed Army vet, and let them figure it out on their own. Just tried to instill in them that it doesn't matter where God takes you, you don't have to wear a uniform to serve, and that they will serve and they will lead in some capacity, whether it's a community, certainly in their family, in the church. So that's how I've tried to lead them. And if they choose to put on a uniform, well, that's great. But
yeah,
right now, no. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we didn't really have a huge script for today, but I did have a question as I was looking at kind of your leadership development of young men, as you saw. I mean, how many men would you say that you were a part of their lives as they're these fundamental years as they're becoming adults? What are some challenges you saw from those men who didn't have what we talk about at Dad Tired, and what we talk about a lot of times with, giving our kids and equipping them to be leaders? What are some struggles you saw in those young men, and what are some ways that you developed and poured into those young men?
Boy, those are several good questions there. Yeah. So between the cadet company at West Point and in the ROTC battalion at Missouri State, somewhere north of 140 lieutenants commissioned into the Army. I think my cadets at Missouri State actually did count it up, and they gave me a plaque with all the names on it, which that's cool. Over here, it's pretty special memento. But you saw a lot of different things. You saw young men and women, trying to find their voice as leaders. Trying to identify and develop the character within them. That was always my focus. If I could just develop a little character in them, some integrity, et cetera, that they'd have what they need to at least get started. But they come from all over, and a lot of the young men, what I didn't understand at the time, but I do now. A lot of them come with the father wound, and so they're trying to step out as on their own as a man, and so you just try to help them walk that road and find their voice, and see them stumble as they try to be overbearing and do this and directive versus listening to their subordinates, thinking through problems, getting their team to rally around a common vision, all of those things. So I don't know if I really did a good job answering that, but
no, yeah, I'm just intrigued. Working with men, and I know you have, and just kind of thinking through. Did you ever have someone that you thought, man, they are a lost cause, but then they flip it around, and you're like,
absolutely. Yeah. There's one I can think of. He was just a knucklehead, and had a few spectacular mess ups. Nothing terrible, so didn't try to get him kicked out or anything like that. But just kind of wondered how he was going to end up. And you could see towards senior year there was some potential there, but send him off and hope they do well. And then years later, I get an invitation in the mail to his change of command, where he was going to now command a company of his own, and he was selected to command Easy Company, Band of Brothers, and wow. That doesn't come lightly. I'm getting goosebumps right now. They select the right guy, because it's one thing to see an article about a military commander relieved for making a mistake, but if it was a historical unit like that, there's a little more to it. So quite an honor for him, and you could just tell he really done well. And I just got another invitation. A young cadet of mine from one of the first classes I graduated out of West Point, and he's taken the battalion command. So he's a lieutenant colonel now, taking command of 500, 600, 700 soldiers. And I can remember speaking to the academic board, appealing, I know he failed this class. Please don't kick him out. He's going to be a tremendous leader. And just it's humbling to have a small part of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you have so many more of those, but that's the cool part of getting to pour into, especially young leaders, I think for sure. But it almost, you feel this sense of pride. I'm sure, kind of like your own children, right? Like, and I'm so stinking proud, but at the same time, you're fighting this. I can't want it more than you, right? Like
Right.
you've got to
Right.
take those steps and figure that out. That was just a random question or thought I had as I was kind of reading about you and your history, and just thinking, man, how many stories do you have of really developing leaders and then seeing them flourish, and ultimately as parents and as dads, like that's our hope and dream for our kids, right? We want to, even the knucklehead stuff that our kids go through, and
that's the formative piece, and you got to let them struggle through it. It's one of the biggest challenges of being a dad, as you know, is watching them struggle through it. And it's the same for a young Army leader and a cadet, a lieutenant, as it is for you as a dad, and for your kids. It's to learn that true strength in life is found on your knees. Mm-hmm. Sometimes life puts you there, pushes you, knocks you down. And other times, after a while, you learn to go there yourself and to pray and to cry out to God for some help. And so it's the same either way. And that's one thing, Father-Son Camp, I try to impress upon some of the dads is, your son doesn't look to you for strength in your successes. He learns it when he sees you go to your knees and cry out for help to the Lord, and then take a deep breath and have the fortitude to stand back up again. That's when he sees true strength in you. So,
man, that's powerful. So let's jump into that. Let's talk Father-Son Camp. How long you been kind of leading that out, and kind of tell me about the future, where you're heading.
Yeah, great. Yeah, this will be our third summer. We piloted 2 summers ago, just 1 week trying it out, had 10 father-son pairs, all teens. And then I got a lot of feedback. Hey, I really want to bring my younger son because I want to think that through ahead of time. I need some planning, which, time and reconnaissance is seldom wasted. So I was like, yeah, I got to help the younger dads out. So let's get them in here. So last summer, 9 and up was our age bracket. And we did 2 weeks, and it was phenomenal. And now this year it'll be 3 weeks. We're going to be opening the 8th of June, and we'll have 3 consecutive 1-week terms for fathers and son to come and spend an intentional week together. So pretty excited.
Yeah. So 3 years, just kind of getting this rolling.
With a year of research up front. So 21.
Okay.
I went to another camp that's a friend of ours and went through their program. There's only a couple other ones in the country. So I was asked to go and do some research for Kanakuk, and I said, okay, I'd love to go. I go to summer camp every summer with my boys through Boy Scouts. I was a scoutmaster for years. And they said, no, just one boy. So pick one. Like, why would I want to pick one? But I did, and I went, and it blew me away. And I came back and said, this is what every parent needs. Every parent needs a week like this to be intentional with their kids and choosing. I have a lot of dads. Why are you making me choose? Why can't I bring both my boys? And I said, yes, I want you to choose. See the power in that choice. Because I've seen multiple boys to this point, snot bubbles and tears, and they're saying, this is the best week of my life. My dad chose me, 1 week with just me. And that's powerful. And that intentional time is really the secret sauce of Father-Son Camp. In fact, you go through everything we do, and we have all kinds of fun. We learn things. We have guest speakers, just amazing. And time again, the fathers rate the one-on-one father-son time, intentional, in each morning after breakfast, as the best part of camp. And man, it's simple, but it's powerful, right?
Well, it's just so cool to see, looking from way far outside of getting to know you a little bit more, and just see how God has just given you all these experiences in all of these areas to be in this season, in this point, at this moment, to help lead this Father-Son Camp. I mean, the credentials that you have are you're the right person for this, as having these dads come in and shepherding this week for them. And so if I'm a dad listening going, man, that sounds super intriguing, give me a rundown of kind of like, what does a week look like? You know, you got to choose that one of your kids, because I got two too, and I'm thinking, man, I think it's easy because they're so different in age, but if they were closer in age, I'd have a hard time with that. So let's say I pick, you know, my oldest son, Charlie, me and him are coming. What do we look forward to and experiencing?
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for your kind words. I feel so humbled by that. I'm part of an amazing Christian ministry. I've got a director building full of tremendous Christian leaders, and to be selected to start a camp is, I remember when they asked me, I was like, me, you know, I'm the safety and security guy. So I'm just humbled by what God's doing with this camp. But what we do, we have a lot of fun. I tell dads on the first night, love is spelled time, Time. And that's what camp offers, is a week of intentionality. And we start our days with quiet time. If they get themselves out of bed, they get some quiet time with the Lord, hopefully getting their Bible. Then we have a great meal. We have breakfast, and then it's intentional father-son time. And then we go off and do a little bit of instruction. There's some classes for dads throughout the week on connection and communication. We bring in some great experts from Six Summers, which is another organization that does really good content for fathers and sons to help with the 6 summers between 13 and launch, typically, and being intentional with that. So bring some good instruction in there. And then after lunch, we head off and we have an adventure. And so it might be, a day at the lake, getting behind a boat, tubing, bluff jumping, having a lot of fun, hanging around the campfire. Then there's a theme day this year. We're going to get a little gritty and muddy, have some fun in the mud pit. I'm digging. That's a secret. I haven't told anybody that yet. I got a fun day filled with that. We're going to go and shoot some skeet, shoot some 5-stand, some wobble trap. So our theme is locked in. So that's part of that. And then we do what I call outpost. We go on a day-long float trip down the James River. And one of the directors here has been, 30+ year camp director. He said it well. He said, something magical that happens when you put 2 people in a canoe together with oars in their hands. And it really is good, because you got to work together and communicate. But it's also, even though you're in a group of people going down the river, it is just you in that boat. And so we do a day-long float trip, and we end up at a campground right along the river. And then each dad gets a tent and a campfire and their son. And that's it. We space them out all up and down. It's a 2-mile stretch of riverfront. So we spread them out, bring them a little food to eat. And it's just an intentional time that we've led that dad to all week long, to have an intentional talk with their son about their commitment to each other, about their path to manhood. Some of the changes that they're taking place in their lives for teens, or maybe getting ready to for a younger kid, the roles they have to assume, as a man. What does the path look like? So all those topics is kind of leading to that talk with dad. So do fun stuff like that and a lot more during the week. Little paintball. Kids love to shoot their dads. Go figure, Yeah, last year I gave them a choice. Hey, it was 100 degrees. Do you want to go to the escape room? Because our family camp has an escape room. I was going to borrow those. Or do you want to go to paintball? You can choose. And literally everybody went to paintball. I didn't have to take anyone to the air-conditioned escape room on a 100-degree day, because the kids, they just want to shoot pops. It's funny. Man. Go figure.
I can't imagine Charlie having a paintball gun. He would light me up. I don't.
Yes, he would. Yeah, and you should see the dads turn and return the favor. Moms don't listen to that part. They're fine. They're fine.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt that bad. It's fine.
Yeah. And then every day except for the night we're on outpost is a guest speaker. Is a camp. We call it the evening campfire with a K, and we bring in some of our our best speakers from around Kanakuk, like I said, directors that have had 30 years of experience, most of them that have launched their kids and can look back on that experience and really put some good context to it. So we try to kind of round out the day with that, and then end in small groups. So the dads with the dads, the teens with the teens, the younger boys with the boys, and just kind of stitching their day together and what's going on in the week.
Yeah.
So,
man, yeah. I just hearing you talk about that week makes me just want to start looking at my calendar and signing up right now.
Let's go.
It just seems so exciting. And what, I'm sure you've had dads on the trip. You talk about adventure. Me and my boys, we do a lot of adventuring, and we go hiking and hunting. But what about the dads? Maybe I got a dad listening. He's like, man, that's just outside's not my thing, or I don't know. What would you say to that, Dad? I mean, you're gonna coach them, right? You're not just gonna let them fail in front of their boys,
right? Yeah, always in the back of my mind is the phrase "Dad for the win." We're trying to set Dad up for the win, so there's nothing too crazy. People go, "Hey, why don't you play soccer or basketball?" And I'm thinking of my back and my knees and some of the sore parts from a time in the Army, and so that is always in mind for sure. And they do get to sleep in air conditioning, except for that one night in a tent. We have some beautiful cabins. The property we're using, we're still pretty small, so we don't have our own camp. But Kanakuk has a institute, a first-year graduate program, and they have a property, and we rent cabins from them in the summer. And so it's beautiful and it's very nice. So there's some of that. And the food, let me just tell you, so much meat. I mean, we're barbecuing, yes. And oh man, it's the real deal.
I'm in on that.
A lot of good food and a nice, comfortable cabin, and Dad can go at his own pace for sure.
Yeah, so. And the dads listening, or even the moms thinking, "Oh, I need to sign my husband up for this." Just what I love of hearing you plan this out, because I've been a part of family camps and done different stuff. But what I love is you guys really are trying to set Dad up to win. And to have this moment that will be a core memory for those boys for the rest of their life. Not just a fun kind of week getaway, but really so intentional with creating this moment to happen with dads and their boys to make it something that they're never going to forget. And that's what, man, I don't know when we're going to sign up. Me and my boys are going to go. We'll be there at some point. Did you mention how long? Is it 7 full days? Is it 10 days? How long is the trip?
Yeah. So all of our camps at Kanakuk load up on Saturday and then depart on Friday. So it's Saturday afternoon. We try to get them to show up between 4 and 6. And then feed them a great dinner and sit around the campfire and talk about the week. But some come in later that night, and that's fine. I'm all about meeting people where they're at. And then Friday morning is our closing breakfast and little closing ceremony. And then we get them on the road Friday morning about 10, so they have that day to travel home and can be home for the next weekend. So
nice.
Yeah, 5 full days of program and a couple travel days. Really, what it amounts.
That's awesome, man. So
yeah.
For anyone listening going, hey, I want to sign up. I want more information. Where do we find more information about the Father-Son Camp?
Yeah, it's kanakuk.com/father-son-camp with a K. It's like back there. So Kanakuk. And if you get there, you can link to it off the main page too. But there's more information there. And, you feel free to share my contact info. They can call me, or I'll talk to anybody about it. Because, like I said, I went to camp with my son, and we had a good relationship. But it just blew me away, and it did things for our connection and our relationship that I'm forever grateful for. In fact, it was funny when I came back and rendered my report, and they asked, so should we start our own father-son camp? And I almost said, I should do one more year of research. Let me go back next summer.
Yeah.
Because I wanted so badly to have that with my younger son. But of course, we launched the pilot that next year, and I grabbed him and I said, you're by my side and we're in this pilot together. I mean, I'm the director, but you're my battle buddy. And we're going to go through this father and son together. And we did. And I'm grateful to the Lord for that connection, because it's hard. to be intentional as a father. The world is not set up to support that. It's just not. And we know that from the Bible. I mean, we want more of Jesus and less of the world, but we live in that world, and the kids go off to school and we get them for a couple hours at night, and we're tired and they're tired and they want to play the video games, and we might want to, binge some TV or scroll some Facebook or whatever. It's hard to be intentional. So I want to help folks with that.
Yeah. As we close, I'm thinking, what do you say to the dad who's like, man, that sounds good, but that's a long time. That's a lot of time to give up with it, whether it's work or just the commitment financially, all of that. I think you've already hit on it, just personal experience. But what do you say to that dad that's kind of on the fence of like, man, do I sign up? Do I not? What's the big aha mic drop that you would say to them?
Yeah, I would say choose your son. Love is spelled Time. And I've just launched my boys, right? They're out of the house. This year we're new empty nesters. We're trying to figure out what that means. And so I can look back. I haven't just done it. And think I did all right, but boy, there's some times I'm like, boy, I would just like, if I could have another week, if I could have, another go of it, I would try this, I would try that. Take advantage of it now. The time goes so fast, and everybody tells dads that, but it's true. So choose them for the week and see the power. It is a sacrifice, but you know what? They see it. Like I said, kids, dads, snot bubbles and tears saying, this meant the world to me. The dad would choose me for the week. Man, it's just the simple truth of it. Yeah. And I know life's busy. Boy, life will ring you out.
Yeah. But choose your son, man. So powerful words that I think we need to say every.
And you'll go back a better husband and a better father for your other kids too. And then you'll want to come back with them. And someday, hopefully in a couple of years, we got father-daughter going, and then mother-son, mother-daughter. I mean, the big dream is to support parents in this fight.
Yeah. Because
you're outnumbered. You just are.
Yeah. Powerful stuff, Scott, man. Choose your son. I think that's a mantra we could say every single day, and have us wanting to give that Time, that love to them. I'm so grateful for you. And, if you're listening, you're going, Kanakuk, where's that at? Go on Kanakuk's website. There's tons of great stuff on the website. But the one thing that I've always heard, I've know to be true with Kanakuk, is y'all don't do anything halfway. You don't do, like, it's the best of the best of the best. And so knowing that and hearing from Scott today, just know if you're going back and forth on the fence, just know it's going to be worth every second to choose your son. Scott, thanks, man, for your time today. We'll list all the info on the description of the podcast as we get going. But what an awesome opportunity for dads. We talk all the time about, creating those milestones, creating those moments with your kids, those rite of passages. This is a built-in incredible opportunity for parents all over the country to find a way to connect with your son. So, Scott, man, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you. Love what you're doing. And you're going to be at Dad Tide Retreat, aren't you?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Can't wait. So look forward to it.
I'll see you there September. And if you want more information about the Dad Tired Retreat, we'll link that in the description of the podcast as well. Man, thank you so much.
Thanks, Bobby. Appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today.
Yeah, appreciate you, man.